Good morning, yep. Welcome to the Friday Waffle, although this is going out on a Saturday morning. Apologies about it not getting out last night. There's not many things that will stop me getting the Friday Waffle out on a Friday, but one of them is the chance to play video games. So one of my mates, Gordon, came across last night, and he's not seen this this silly gaming collection of mine, so he came across last night and we played sensible soccer. Brilliant, absolutely brilliant. We played like a couple of tournaments, and you know what, it just makes you remember and miss the sort of days of playing these games with a friend. You know, the competitive aspect. I mean, it's one thing, you know, playing Call of Duty or whatever it is you play online. It's one thing doing that, and you know, I totally get it. I mean, I used to play a lot of Gears of War online. I used to play Ridge Racer 6, I think it was, and it's great fun, you know, especially when you put the headphones and that kind of thing on, but there's nothing that can beat it. Doesn't replace the sitting beside somebody and playing a game, and you know, you actually get to see the expression, and you know, you can, if you score a goal, you can tell them to get it right up them and all that kind of stuff. Brilliant. So that was really good. Yeah, so we played two tournaments. We were both crap. I think I finished bottom in the second one, and Gordon, he was second bottom. But yeah, what a game. I mean, you know, it's, if ever there was a game that hasn't aged one little bit, it's Sensi Soccer. I mean, the graphics, even back in whenever it was, 1990, 1991 or something, the graphics even then were basic, to say the least. So the fact that they were basic back then, they still look basic, but the playability shines through massively. So yeah, absolutely fantastic. So like I said, apologies for not getting this out before now, but yeah, you might hear, well, firstly, it's about 10:30 on a Saturday morning, and I've got the light on because it's just dark. I mean, it's just disgusting. I mean, I'm, being a Scottish person, I'm used to completely shit weather, obviously, but I don't care what anybody says. The weather patterns in the UK, well, especially Scotland, has changed beyond all sight. You know, I mean, we don't get seasons anymore. We just get, seems to be windy and wet. That seems to be our sort of main weather that we get. Summer is non-existent. So yeah, it's horrible, and being a runner, it's not the kind of weather you want to go out in. However, I think I mentioned last waffle that I was going up to Tyndrum last Saturday to do a run. So I did that. I got up at stupid o'clock in the morning, drove up. It's a couple of hours in the car, and yeah, there was about, I would say there was about maybe, I don't know, 30-40 people, and what we were planning to do was just basically start at Tyndrum and run south excuse me, along the West Highland Way. The plan was, a lot of people were going to run 13 miles and then stop and run back, which means it'd be a collective 26 miles. But the weather was awful, absolutely awful. It was like what it is just now, but it was freezing cold. It was about, I don't know what the temperature was, I would guess it was about 1-2 degrees, maybe minus 1, don't know. It was Baltic, but the wind was blowing a hoolie. It was really, the sort of wind chill factor was just ridiculous. So anyway, I'm kind of boring the tits off you. I ran with a couple of girls. We ran 10 miles back, down, and then 10 miles back, and I have never run in such bad conditions in all my life. I mean, we were literally up to our knees in freezing cold ice water. We were obviously soaked through to the skin. You couldn't feel your hands. I couldn't even feel my feet. I mean, it felt like I was running on sticks. That's how bad it was. But you know, once you've done it, it's great. I mean, it took me about an hour to defrost. But yeah, anyway, sorry, you don't watch this video to listen me talking about running. So aye, what else have I been up to? The old work, well, that's still just the same. Same old, stupidly busy. Aye, that was that. But gaming wise, what have I been playing? I've been playing a bit of the Amiga. Really loving my Amiga at the moment. I'm actually looking at the accelerator card that I got. I bought it about, I don't know when I bought it, 6 months ago maybe. What it actually does is, and some people are kind of slagging it off, they've brought out this card and it's basically locked obviously to run at a certain speed. I think it's like, it's a 9 megahertz. I think mine's is currently running at like, excuse my saying, I've got a dog wanting in. Hurry up! Anybody else? Right, come on Jax, in! Jax, in you come! In! Good boy. Right, I've got 2 of them. Yeah, what was I saying? The card runs, it kind of comes set at, I think it's 9 megahertz. Which when you think of PCs is running like 2000 megahertz. But anyway, yeah, this card runs at 9 megahertz. I think the 1200 runs at 2 or something. It's something silly. But anyway, so the card out the box runs about 4 times the speed of your 1200. But what you can do is you can actually contact them and they'll give you, you can pay to unlock the speed. Now you do that by, they give you a code, which apparently you use a disc and you type in the code and you set a jumper setting and it will basically make it run quicker. Now some people have been saying that's terrible. Imagine, you know, you're paying for a card and you've got to pay extra to unlock it. But what the developers have said, and I kind of do go along with this. I mean, I'm not a big fan of undownloadable content in games and things like that, but for something like that, a piece of hardware, what they said was if they were to bring out a card like that, then they were to bring out another one which was, I don't know, twice the speed, then they would bring out another one which is 3 times the speed. That would all add to the price of the card, because I mean the card was only like 60 quid, or maybe even less than that. So what they've done is they've brought out one card, and if you want to unlock it you just pay that extra. So they've been able to kind of keep the price down, so I've not got a problem with that. So I'm actually, I was always one of these people that I could never really, excuse me, look at the chips in this cup, dearie me. Time for a new cup. It's funny how you get a mug that you like, and this is one of my favourites. What was I talking about? Yeah, I was never one of these people that could understand why would you want an accelerator card in an Amiga? Because an Amiga, to me, is like a Mega Drive or a SNES or anything else, or an Xbox. It's, hardware is fixed. So basically everybody has got the same 1200. You know, everybody's got the same 600, whatever it is. So when a game's released for the Amiga, you play it as it is. You know, you're getting the game as it was intended. Not like a PC where, depending on what graphics card you've got or what processor you've got, the game would run differently. If you've all got 1200s, then it'll all run at the same speed. So I couldn't understand why you would want to put an accelerator card in it, because games are written to run at a certain speed, and why would you want it to run any quicker? But having owned that now for a wee while, I do get it, because I mean stuff, obviously 3D based stuff runs better because it's got this card in it. Stuff like one of my favourite Amiga games is Stunt Car Racer. It runs that bit quicker, it runs that bit smoother as well. So you can see an improvement in the game. What else? Obviously other stuff like, I mean you've got things like Doom. Doom does exist for the Amiga. You've got various other flight simulators. Anything that uses kind of 3D graphics does run better, so I do totally get it. And what I'm, because I've got the card set to the basic, I'm now wondering, for my Christmas, I think it's, to unlock it now, it gives me, that card gives me 9 meg, no not 9 gig, 9 meg, yeah, 9 meg, dearie me. It gives me 9 meg of memory. The 1200 came with 2 meg, so this is giving me an extra, well, an extra 7 meg. which makes all the difference again. But for I think it's for something like €20, I can unlock the speed from, I think it goes from 9 to 28, I think it is. And I can also unlock the memory. I'm currently running 9 meg. I can unlock it to 63. Now I'm not too sure whether the extra memory is going to make much difference going from 9 to 63. But certainly I would quite like to actually try it running at a quicker speed at the 28. I'd like to see the difference. And like I said, I think it's only €20. It's like €40 if you want to get the car maxed out. So one clever thing that they've done is apparently there are some timing issues with some 1200s if you unlock it. But what they've done is you can change the jumper setting, and when you switch the machine on, you basically get, I think it's 10 trials with it. If you switch your Amiga on and leave it on, never switch it off, you will always be able to run it at the quicker speed. As soon as you switch it off, that's your lost one, your 10 trials. And that's their way of basically letting you test the card to see how it runs before you decide to pay for the sort of permanent unlock. So I might give that a go actually after doing this and seeing how I get on with it, seeing if it's worth it. But I said to my wife that would be my Christmas present. It would probably be a rather unusual Christmas present. I can just see her at work, people saying, "Oh, what did you get for your husband?" "Oh, I got him I got him the David Beckham aftershave." "What did you get?" "Oh, I got him an electric drill." "And what did you get him, Trace? What did you get Alan?" "Oh, I got him an unlock code for his Amiga Accelerator card." He'd be like, "Oh, right, yeah, that's nice. Did you wrap it up for him?" So, yeah, that's the Amiga, but really, really, really enjoying the Amiga. I can't not mention the rather lovely GPD XD console which I picked up last week. Brilliant. I mean, I don't know if you've watched the video I put together. I really, really can't rate it highly enough. It's a fantastic little console. I know I do sound like a broken record. I mean, I made the same statement when I got the Nvidia Shield console, which is a great machine. I made the same thing when I got the GXD console, and now I'm making the same one again. But what I love about the GPD is the controls are fantastic. Nintendo have been making consoles for a long, long time. They've obviously spent millions of pounds or millions of yen, whatever it is, perfecting the form factor of a console. Where buttons should be, the size of it, gamepad and that kind of stuff. So they've spent millions perfecting. I mean, since the NES came out, the wee gamepad, they've spent years and years and loads of money perfecting the form factor of a console. So GPD have obviously, they've come along, that's the name of the company by the way that make it. They've come along and basically butchered the style, or plagiarised I think is the word to use, or pirated, I don't know. But yeah, they've copied the form factor of the 3DX XL perfectly, and that's brilliant because it means that you're getting an Android tablet that is capable of playing. I mean, last night I was playing, what did I play? I was playing some PSP games. The Dreamcast emulation is fantastic, and obviously all the other consoles I've showed you, they're just perfect. It's perfection in a tin. A tiny little console playing all these machines, your MAME, really can't fault it. The only thing the Nvidia Shield is a fantastic machine. I had one, and the funny thing is, the reason I got rid of it was because of the screen size, and I don't know what it was, I just didn't use it, but it was an amazing machine. I mean, I think the Nvidia Shield is more powerful than the GPD XD. To buy an Nvidia Shield, in fact I don't think you can buy one brand new now. To buy one second hand is the price of a GPD XD, so I would say to you, if you were going to buy a GPD XD and you were going to go for the 32 gig one, which I bought, it costs from a rather popular online website. You can buy it for, it's £180. The 16 gig one is 150, 32 gig is 180, and the, what do you call it, 64 gig is £200. Now, if you were going to go for, you know, the top of the range, or even the one that I bought, the £180 one, I would have a look at I would do a check out, go into, you know, onto YouTube. I mean, I did a review of the Nvidia Shield, but in fact, you know, by all means go and watch that if you want. Have a look at them both, because there's not a lot to choose between them. I think the Nvidia Shield is more powerful. You know, you can do other things with it. You can stream Steam games, I think it is that the right thing to say? You can stream games and that kind of stuff, which isn't something that I was ever going to want to use, because the screen to me is just too wee to play PC games. But it's a fantastic console. But having owned the Nvidia Shield and obviously owning a GPD XD, I do prefer the form factor of the GPXD. I think it's less bulky. The Nvidia Shield was really heavy, but it felt excellent. It was like playing an Xbox controller. It was bizarre because you're playing the controller. The controls are almost identical to a 360 controller. So it was weird. You're sitting here. You know, you felt like you were playing an Xbox 360 game, but you weren't, because you're obviously playing the wee screen. But it's a lovely, lovely console, and I'm sure a lot of Nvidia Shield people will be saying, that's way better than the GPXD. But I've owned both, so I feel like I'm allowed to comment, because I have owned both. The Shield is a lovely machine, but I do prefer the GPXD just because of the buttons. It's lighter. I don't know, even though the screen I think is the same size, it doesn't. It looks somehow feels bigger on the GPXD. I think because there's not, on the Shield you had a lot of border, so you had the actual screen, then you had the wee kind of border going round it, which kind of made it look smaller. Whereas the GPD, it's the border is very small. The whole top of the bit is almost all kind of all screen or display, if that makes any sense. Right, what else now? I'm thoroughly unprepared this week. I haven't written down anything at all, so I'm just absolutely winging it. Yeah, what have I been doing? Not what have I been doing, but I've told you I've been playing the Amiga, I've been playing the GPD XD, I've been playing Sensei Soccer with my mate Gordon. What was I going to say? The Xbox One, Xbone, call it whatever you want. I see it's starting to come down in price. It's the same with the PS4. I mean, now has never been a better time to buy one of the new consoles. Excuse me, I mean, I don't know, when did I get the PS4? It must be over a year ago. It was like £400, which is what the price was of all these machines when they come out. But you can now get the Xbone, believe it or not. There was a site selling it. I think it was was it Amazon France, possibly? They were doing it for like £180. I think that was just the console on its own. I don't know if there was any games with that. But aye, that's it's a kind of tempting price. I mean, you know me, I love having different machines, and aye, I was like, should I buy one? And you know what? I've decided at the moment, the answer is no. I'm not going to buy one just now because I don't have the space for it. Well, I'd probably put it downstairs if I was to get it. I don't have the space for it. B, I hardly ever play my PS4, which is sitting there. I hardly play it. So to buy an Xbox One is probably cuckoo because I won't play it. But never say never. The funny thing is, the one title that quite appeals to me, and you know that would be part of the reason I would buy one, and it's crazy when I tell you what it is. It's the Ultimate Collection, or the Rare Collection, call it what you want. It's basically a collection of all the Ultimate Play the Game oblique rare games that came out in the Spectrum, N64, etc, etc, etc. I did have a shot of it when I was down at that Insomnia thing, gaming event thing this year it was, bloody hell. Yeah, I did have a shot of it, really nice. Why would you want to play it when you've got it on the Spectrum? That's a good question. But you know what, when you love the old games, any excuse to play it on another platform is always good. So I don't know, right now I'm saying I'm not going to buy one, but you can flame away at will if I do decide to buy one, and you can go, you told us on the such and such a 5th of December waffle that you were not going to buy one. But I do promise you, if I buy one, I won't sell it, unlike one of my favourite Scottish YouTubers. Only kidding, mate. Yeah, no, if I do buy it, I will keep it. But I don't know, it might be an excuse to get me to play games. Maybe if I have it downstairs, I might actually play it. So I don't know, let's watch this space. That's all I shall say on that matter. Yeah, Archie, stop it, lie down. So anything else game related? No, so what's out? Star Wars Battlefront, it came out. I did have a shot of that. I played the beta on the PC and also on the PS4. Really nice. I mean, I am a Star Wars fan. Really pretty. Is it a game I'd play a lot? Probably not, because I think it's kind of more like multiplayer focused. One of my mates summed it up pretty spot on for me. He said it's a lovely game, but there's no more than running about shooting things and picking things up and shooting more things, and that's about it. So it's a game that I wouldn't play. I'm not a big online gamer, so I probably wouldn't get very much from it. Fallout 4 I've already mentioned. I did start playing Fallout 4 on the Xbox 360. I've got about maybe 2-3 hours into it and I've not gone back to it. I'll need to actually start playing it again. But that's me to a T. I start playing a game, then I don't get bored. I think, right, I'll play it later on, and then I forget to play it and I don't go back to it. So yeah, that's the biggest problem I've got. So yeah, and then there's another game, Just Cause 3 has come out. I mean, I have a mate who he was raving about Fallout 4, and you know, anytime you go online you see him, he's playing these games, and now he's playing Just Cause. I mean, I don't know where some people get the time to play games as much as they do. I know, and they'll not mind me saying this, Monkey Spaz mentioned that I think he'd played, was it 55 hours of Fallout 4, I think it was. Was it on the PC, James? I think it was, I'm not sure. I just couldn't imagine, playing a game that long. I couldn't imagine where I'd get the time to actually do it. But saying that, I probably spend 55 hours, certainly not in 1 week. I certainly spend plenty of time fanning about with different systems, so I'm no better or worse doing that than they are playing one game for it. But I think because I've got so many titles, I just I'm quite mean with my time. I wouldn't want to play one game for that length of time. But anyway, I'm kind of covering old ground a wee bit. I was going to say something else there. Well, Star Wars, The Force Awakens, is it 17th of December? So me and my couple of mates, we're going to see it. We've got our tickets. Is it going to be good? I'll say in the record right now, this is going to be me predicting how it was. So what did you think of Star Wars, Alan? Thanks for asking. It was pretty good, but it isn't as good as Star Wars. Yeah, that's it. It's going to be good, but not as good as the original Star Wars. It does. I mean, I've watched a few of the clips. Clips? Is that what you call it? Trailers, teasers. I think they call them teasers nowadays. They used to call them clips back in the day. Yeah, I've watched some of the teasers, and it does look good. I've tried to avoid watching any more because, they're basically showing you bits of the film, and you want to be able to see it when it's actually in the film, not watching a wee 10-second clip. It does look really nice. I mean, I went to see Spectre last week, was it? The week before? Yeah, 2 weeks ago. Really enjoyed it. I thought it was excellent. It was like a return to the old James Bond. I think I really like Daniel Craig. I think he makes a really good James Bond. Everybody, well not everybody, a lot of people don't particularly like him as James Bond. I think he makes a good one. Unlike Pierce Brosnan and Timothy Dalton, wasn't a fan of these guys at all. But anyway, I'm completely digressing. Where am I? Yeah, I saw the when I was sitting waiting to go in to see Spectre, they had the film poster for The Force Awakens, and it looked kinda like the old original Star Wars. You know, it just had that look to it, and I'm like, oh man, it looks good. And then when I went in to see the film, Spectre film, they had a trailer for Star Wars, and I must admit it got me buzzing. It's like, oh, I can't wait to see this. When it kind of came up with it, but I was kind of thinking I wish I was watching the new film and not the James Bond film. But yeah, got that on the 17th. So I am looking forward to it. I'd be lying if I said I wasn't looking forward to it. But I think, like a lot of these things, it's like when the Phantom Menace came out. People were so excited about seeing it. The amount of hype was just phenomenal, and ultimately people now don't even want to talk about the last 3 films that came out. They just seem to be the films nobody should ever mention, which is a shame because they're still good films, but you'll always compare it to the original, and that's an unfair comparison because you can never make an original as an original. You can never ever make a new film that's going to be like the original because the original was the first. So Star Wars. I was looking online. I was watching. Who was it? What was I watching? Yeah, it was Kevin down the rabbit hole. He put out a video. It was, I don't even know the name of the film. It's basically all about, it's a film that was put together all about collecting Star Wars toys. Now I had a look for it in my usual sources, couldn't find it anywhere. But it got me kind of looking on eBay and Googling them, and wow, I mean, some of the prices of some of the original toys is just incredible. I think like one of the rarest ones seem to be, you've got Darth Vader. Apparently the original lightsaber came with 2 wee parts, or was it 3 parts? He basically extended it, he pulled it out. It was like a telescope type thing, pulled it out, so it was like 3 bits, with obviously the top bit really narrow. They go for like £600 for one of these. And I think it Obi-Wan Kenobi, it's the same because he had the lightsaber with the 3 parts. And then there was other characters that they weren't officially released, but if you saved up the tokens for like 5 of them and sent it away to Palatoy, you got this one of the other characters. It was maybe a character that was only in the cantina bar for 10 seconds, so he wasn't like officially released, but they go for stupid money as well. But you know what, as I'm sitting talking here, I can actually, it's funny how there's certain things in life that are as clear as day, and I can I can see it in my eyes. I wish there was technology to kind of broadcast what you're actually looking at. I can see myself standing in John Menzies in Livingston looking at the Star Wars toys. This would be 1977. There was only maybe, I don't know, 10. I mean, what did they have? They had, I can see them in my eyes. They had Darth Vader, they had They had Luke Skywalker, Harrison Ford, they had Chewbacca, he was the only one I ever bought. They had, what else did they have? They had C-3PO, they had R2-D2. They didn't have like the Emperor or anything like that at all. I think that was possibly it. I think they had a Jawa, they had a Tusken Raider I think as well. But aye, and these would have been the ones that are worth stupid money. I mean, people say that about everything. If I could only go back to my childhood and keep all these toys that I had, you would go and pick up 10 of each thing and bring it back to the future. Yeah, the only one I ever bought was, like I said, it was Chewbacca. I don't even remember. I think he came a gun, and I used to play with him in the bath. He was brilliant because if you dropped him into the bath water, he would always float, and he would always float with his head bobbing out the water. So that was good. That was the only one I had. An ex of mine's little brother, he had, I mean, I'm talking about back in the 90s, he had the biggest collection of Star Wars toys I have ever seen. And I do know for a fact that he kept them all in boxes and they were all up in the loft, because I remember I persuaded him to go to his mum's house and bring them all down, and we spent a day looking at them, and he has got everything. He's got the AT-AT, he's got the Millennium Falcon, you know, you name it, the wee kind of walker things, whatever they're called, you know, the wee mini AT-ATs with 2 legs that were in the Endorian Forest scene. All the figures, I mean the figures weren't boxed obviously, but everything, that collection that he's got must be worth a bloody fortune. Aye, but yeah, we sadly broke up, so not me and him, but me and his sister, we sadly broke up, so I'm never ever going to get my hands on them, but aye. It's funny how, you know, I don't know, as this hobby has grown in popularity, not talking about my personal hobby, but the hobby of collecting old systems has grown and grown and grown. The days of getting bargains is getting harder. You know, it's virtually impossible now to go onto eBay and find somebody. It's not virtually impossible, it is impossible to go on eBay and find, I don't know, something that's quite rare. I mean, 10 years ago, if you googled Jupiter Ace, as far as people were concerned, the Jupiter Ace was a failed machine. It was a crap machine, it was a failed machine, so you'd probably get one for pennies. I know Steve Benway, he was collecting machines 10, 15 years ago, and he didn't pay a lot of money for really any of his machines. I don't know how much he paid for his Jupiter Ace, but he has got some fantastically rare bits of hardware, and he didn't pay very much money because he bought them when nobody gave a shit about them. It's just been in the last probably 10 years that the desirability and the popularity of this hobby has increased tenfold. So, you know, if somebody was to sell a Jupiter Ace on eBay, be prepared to pay 200 quid for it. And you know, and that's it's like all these things. I mean, you used to be able to go, I mean, I've had some bargains on Gumtree. I mean, what did I buy in Gumtree? I've told you this a million times. I sound like my mum. I've told you that a million times. You don't listen to me. I've told you a million times. Stop exaggerating. Yeah. Got my Atari 800, the original tank version, which is in that cupboard. I don't use it, but it's one machine. I know I always say that I always use what I buy, but that's one machine. Even if it didn't work, I just love it. I love it to bits. I bought that. I got that plus an Atari 400 plus a disc drive, a tape, shitloads of discs and software and what have you. I got that for, I think it was £100, and did that include delivery? I think it was. I think it was £80 actually. Now you go into eBay and you'll pay anywhere from about £150 to £200 for an Atari 800, the original kind of tank version. I also got my Spectrum is it 128? Yeah, Spectrum 128 toast rack it's called, because it's got the grill, the big heat sink at the right hand side. It looks like a rack for putting toast. It's actually a big kind of cooler thing for the computer. I got that, plus a rubber keyed 48K, was it 30 quid? I got that maybe 2 years ago. Went on to Gumtree, and yeah, 30 quid. And I phoned the guy, I contacted him on eBay, I contacted him on email, and I says, it's still for sale? Yep. I says, oh, can I come and pick it up today? So I went round, and it was an old guy, and it was basically, it used to belong to his daughter. His daughter was now at university, and he was going through the loft and he found this. And yeah, there was a wee teeny bit of guilt on my part handing him 30 quid for these two computers, because the toast rack, a good condition one, I mean, I'm not exactly sure what it goes for. I think it goes for about maybe 60-70 quid, maybe slightly more, maybe slightly less. It's probably the most desirable Spectrum you can get. It's the most reliable. It's 100% compatible, because it was made by Sinclair rather than Amstrad. Amstrad did change some of the chipset, so not all games on the Amstrad Spectrums are compatible. But yeah, the 128 toast rack is apparently the best one to have. So yeah, there was a tinge of guilt, but at the end of the day, that's what the guy wanted. I was giving him how much he asked for. But aye, you know, in card boot sales, I mean, I've never, well, I tell a lie, I did get quite a big haul of Mega Drives, about 5-6 years ago from a card boot sale, but I don't go to card boot sales. I see signs for them now and again, I think, oh, I wish I'd gone to that, but it's not something I really go to. But apparently getting bargains at card boot sales is virtually impossible now. People are now switched on to the fact that these old machines are desirable. So, you know, I'm sure you will still get the occasional bargain, but most people will be asking silly money for stuff. That's unfortunate. So I mean, I remember my mate George, he was at a car boot sale and he saw a Master System. Now it wasn't the original Master System, it was at version 2 I think it was, which was kind of the more plasticky one, not quite so long. And he said, how much are you wanting for that, mate? And I think the guy said £200. And he's like, what? He says, that's not worth that. Oh, I go on eBay and check it out, that's how much they're going for. So the guy, it was either like £100 or £200. It was just ridiculous. I'm sure it was £200. Absolutely ridiculous. So George said, nah, you're alright. And he just walked away. eBay. Ah man, I was talking about toys that belong to your kids. My daughter was a massive Littlest Pet Shop fan. I mean, she had hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of them. But she's now 12, she's now kind of grown up. Saying that, every time I go for a bath or a shower, I've always got to take out the Littlest Pet Shops out the bath, because even though she's 12, she still likes to take some of them into the bath to play with. So you think she's getting all grown up and adult, and you know, you see her playing with wee toys like that, so don't have a problem with that. But yeah, she got this display case. It's about and it's basically made of foam, cardboardy type foam. So anyway, I put it on eBay, had a look on eBay, and there was only one for sale, and it was in America, and I think it was buy it now 50 quid. And I said to the wife, wow, this is going to be really popular, it's going to be rare, super rare, you know, people want it. So I thought I'll put it at an auction, you know, get the maximum price, rather than buy it now, let's put it in an auction and we'll get what it's worth. So I put it on the auction, and it sold for 99 pence. Now, call me bad, call me irresponsible, whatever. I've in the past tried to sell something and it's only sitting at 99p, and now I've seen me using another account or getting a mate to put a bid in, because you know, to sell something for 99p is more bother than it's worth. As we're about to find out, you're not making any money. It's actually costing you money. If you sell something for 99p Unless it's something that's like worth 1 pence, then fair enough, but 99p, it costs more than petrol, it costs more than packaging. I mean, what was it, £5 postage I charged it at, because this thing was big. Although it was light, it was big, and it's the post office seemed to charge you by size rather than weight. So yeah, 99p. I've seen me go in and put a bid in so that the person doesn't win it, because to sell it for 99p is just ridiculous. But I've since learned my lesson. You know, if you don't want to get 99p for something, you put it in at a higher price. But I honestly thought that this thing was going to be, there was going to be a bidding war in it, so we thought, yep, start it nice and low, get plenty of interest. But yeah, it sold for 99p. So yep, I think it sold on the 20th of November. The person didn't pay for it until the 22nd, and I was kind of hoping that they weren't going to pay, so that I could just close it down and give it away. I would rather have given it away to somebody. There was a guy, for his daughter, bought a lot of Littlest Pet Shop toys, and I've got his number, and I was actually tempted to phone him and say, look, do you want this? I would rather have given it away than sell it for 99p. But anyway, the person eventually paid it, so I wrapped it up, and I was going to sell it through Collect Plus. So I had it all wrapped up, and just the weather being shit and the job, it was 2 days before I took it to the shop to deliver it. Then about 2 days later, I get a case opened against me, and I'm like, what the hell is this? I go in, and quite a cheeky message. Bought this on the 20th, it's now the 28th, haven't received the item. The person charged me £5 postage for something made of cardboard. All the more ridiculous considering I live 10 miles away from them, which is true. The person that bought it lived in Edinburgh. Now, two things. One, regardless of how far it is, 10 miles, 50 miles, 100 miles, as we all know, the lovely post office don't deliver it any quicker because it's only 10 miles away. You've still got to take it to the post office or whatever it is. So that is complete, utter pointless. It's got nothing to do with anything. The second thing, having a go at me saying it's made of cardboard, charging £5 delivery is ridiculous. Well, A, you've got to wrap it up. I mean, I put bubble wrap around it. You've got to put paper around it. That costs money, obviously. It goes by size, so you could not post something that's made of cardboard for the price of a stamp. So yeah, I was a bit pissed off at that. And then they finished it up saying, what an absolute joke. And I thought, oh, here we go. This is the first time I've ever, I mean, my feedback is, I think it's 330 or something positive. I've never had any negative feedback. I tell a lie, I did get one negative feedback years ago, and the guy was being a complete and utter arse. The guy was just being a dick, but anyway, I'm not going to that one. But yeah, so this person raised a case against me for something that sold for 99p. So I checked online the Collect Plus thing, and I contacted them. I says, look, it's been posted, I do apologise. I mean, when I sell stuff on eBay, I always try and get it posted as quick as I can, because I know myself, you're keen to get something. And in this case, I did delay it by a couple of days. Secondly, I always, apart from this one time, email or send a message to the person saying, that's me posted it. If it's like Collect Plus, I'll always give them the tracking number so they can see where it is. I didn't do it in this instance. I was going to do it and I just kind of forgot, but you know, that's one of these things. So I contacted them, I said, I did post it, you know, please let me know when it arrives. It arrived the following day, and a day went past and they still had the case open. Then eventually the guy got back to me and said, oh, thanks for letting me know. Well, we're not normally that unreasonable, but because we didn't know where it was, we thought you hadn't posted it. Thanks anyway. I'll close the case down. And it took them 2 days to close the case. I actually had to email them back and say, look, could you please close the case down? You've got the item now, you know, can you please close it? So they did do it, that's it now closed, but you know what, it just kind of, I thought, all that hassle, potentially getting bad feedback, getting negative feedback for something that was 99 pence. And I've kind of learned my lesson. I don't think I would ever sell anything, even if something was worth nothing, even if something was worth 1 pence, I wouldn't sell it for 99p because it's simply too much hassle. eBay is all focused, it's all biased towards the buyer. The seller has absolutely no comeback. If you try and leave, what do you call it? If you try and leave feedback as a seller, you can only give good feedback. You can't leave negative feedback. So what tends to happen is if you sell something, you don't leave good feedback saying they paid quickly, because what then happens is if that person who bought it doesn't like the thing, or for whatever reason, they can then leave you negative feedback saying wasn't happy, blah 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 blah, and you've already left good feedback saying brilliant buyer. So the whole feedback thing is kind of broken now. It just means that you end up not leaving feedback for each other, which is kind of, you know, a bit pointless. But that was my eBay experience. Right, okay guys, question times, question time I should say, question times, what am I talking about? Right, I'm just having to use my iPad. God, I'm worrying about getting old, my eyesight's definitely getting worse. Right, let's see what's what. Last week's Waffle, Brian asked me, what's with the new intro? It's very slick but not very you. That's probably absolutely bang on the money. The new outro was very kindly done for me by Mark, Lactobacillus Prime. Looks really nice, but yeah, I do tend to agree with you, Brian, it's not me. I'm very much real kind of homemade looking effort. I mean, my outro was done using PowerPoint and whatever, but yeah. He says don't go changing the intro music. No, that's not going to happen. It's funny how talking about like changing things, like you get Facebook, people are always changing their profile picture and all that, and like the same on forums, people have their avatar. There's some people who always like to keep changing things like that, and I don't. I still use the same profile picture. I still use the wee, well, I've got my profile picture on the internet as a little sunflower thing. It was just the first thing that I could see that came to hand when I first created an avatar 15 years ago. But I always think that I like to have familiarity, so you know what you're watching or who you're talking to. So yeah, for the purpose of the intro music, I'm going to leave that the same. I mean, I do try and some of the sort of feature things that I have, like the Arcade Perfect, my arse and that kind of thing, I've tried to make my own kind of wee intro just for that sort of feature. But no, as far as the main intro, that's just going to stay. That's it was Monkey Spaz that done that for me. I mean, I've had quite a few compliments about it, and I've got to say I think it's a fantastic looking intro, really slick looking, and I love the music to bits. Really cool. So don't worry, Brian, I won't be changing the intro music. Oops, I've just lost the comments. Now Brian's given me an idea, games that push the limits. How about some videos on games that push the limits of 8-bit hardware? That's excellent. Yep, I shall certainly, I might have a crack at doing one next week. I'll let you have a wee think about it. So yeah, that's a good suggestion, Brian, thanks for that. He says something here, it's hard to resist tinkering with things. I flashed new firmware on my watch and now it's a paperweight. Good excuse to get a new one. I've lost count the number of times that I buy something, whether it's an iPad or a console or some bit of tech, and I've always got to try and change it, and you'll always get the warning, this may brick your unit, PSP, etc. I'm always one of these guys, I just fly with the seat in my pants, stuff it, boom, let's go for it. So far I've never failed, apart from that WHD thing, right enough. But yeah, I'm always doing that, and it's probably not a good trait to have. If in doubt, don't do it. Oh, sorry, before I forget, um, iTunes, bloody hell, what is that all about? My daughter got a phone, an Apple phone, an iPhone I should say, for her birthday, and she managed to lock it. She couldn't remember the PIN code, so I then had to try and basically couldn't get into it at all. I then had to try, and what I tried to do is do a restore. And was it a recovery? I think it was, where you hold down two buttons and you get the wee iTunes logo. I spent a whole night trying to recover this iPhone. It was a bloody nightmare, honestly. See, I mean, iPhones, I've got an iPhone, great bits of hardware, but see when you have to try and fix them, total nightmare. Anyway, I don't want to start talking about anything else. I want to try and wrap this video up now. I keep turning the iPad and it keeps losing the question. So yeah, thanks for that, Brian. But yeah, absolutely, games that push the limits. That's a great title. Right, Adam, Amiga Old School, nice to see you using your Amiga. The demos are excellent and still enjoy watching back. Is your Amiga connected to stereo? It's not, Adam, no. I mean, I've just got it through the big telly, so I've got stereo sound coming out of that. But aye, I mean, I have got speakers. That's, yeah, you know, it's another plug, and I've got a billion plugs. But yeah, I could certainly plug it into a wee set of speakers. I don't have it right now. It comes through the speakers in the telly, which are actually pretty good. But yeah, that might be something to look into. I think that's. Or Adam last week asked me about my taskbar in the Windows. My question wasn't a trick question. Using Amiga for years and got a PC. Ah, right, I get you now. What Adam's saying here is obviously the Amiga taskbar was always at the top, and then when he got a PC, he moved his taskbar to the top. You know what, it's something I've never thought about actually. Yeah, you can move your taskbar in a PC, in a Windows PC, but I've never thought about it. I think because when I moved from the Amiga to the PC, I never ever went back to the Amiga, so I just got used to it being where it is at the bottom. But it's an interesting thing, and it's funny, you don't see many people with the taskbar anywhere other than at the bottom. I've never really thought about moving it, I must admit. Right, I need to stop moving this. Right, I think I've only got right, there's no question there. No, sorry, here, one of my mates, Alan, who goes to the PC club, decided to check out Steam sale after you mentioned picking up Elite and the resulting problems. Quite fancied trying it, but sadly my PC graphics card isn't even near the minimum required. So I picked up the Hearst story for a couple of quid instead. Reminded me of the old hacker game in the Specky in C64. Not quite sure if that's an official genre of game. Dump you in at the deep end and let you try to work out what the hell's going on. Another work it out em up that I fondly remember in the Spectrum was Killed Until Dead. Did you play that back in the day and were you a fan of them? Killed Until Dead. I know the name, Alan, but I can't remember playing the game. No, I'll need to have a look at it. Can't remember playing it. I do remember playing Hacker. I didn't get very far in it. Yeah, you basically start with a computer screen and you've got to try and get past it. I've got a very low patience threshold, so I get bored very easily and give up. So I didn't really play them much at all. But I did play Hacker now. I think Hacker 2 came out, but that was like using cameras, I think it was. Whereas I preferred the original Hacker. It was literally typing into a computer to try and hack it. But Killed Until Dead, no, I don't remember that. I know the title sounds familiar, but I certainly don't remember playing it at all, mate. So was I a fan of them? Not really. Apart from Hacker, I think that was about the only one that I can really remember ever playing with. But like I said, I've just got a really low patience and I give up far too easily. I think the only other question, yep, the ever reliable Kevin down the rabbit hole. Thank you very much, Kevin. For the Friday Waffle, Alan, Last week, a prominent TV producer here in Canada announced that after 20 years of reviewing video games on cable television, he has lost his contract with the cable company and is now looking for a new way to make his show. I'm sure that must have hurt, but it is indicative of big changes in media these days. I suppose, who knows, maybe he'll move to YouTube like the rest of us. Has the same thing happened over there in the UK? Were there gaming shows in telly over there that have been shut down? Also, this is the second part. I don't recall any TV programme moving over to the internet. There was a programme, it was a very early internet programme called Consolvania, and it was written by two Scottish guys. Hugely, Google it or go to YouTube. Consolvania, it's called. Brilliant. Rab Florence and this other guy, they're two Scottish guys. Brilliant, really good. They started this feature called Consolvania on, it was internet, it was before YouTube I think it was, but on the internet. Then they got approached by the BBC and it became a TV programme. But I don't think there's been any programmes that were on TV that have now become internet based. I mean, TV programmes, gaming TV programmes, in the UK we had Mamemeister, which was definitely the biggest, most successful one. It's quite an iconic programme, it was the first one. You had Games World, which was on Sky TV. It used to come out every day and it's bloody awful. I've watched a few clips of it. You Google it or do a search on YouTube. Games World, it's terrible. Really bad game. Then you had the Bad Influence, which was, it was kind of more focused for younger people, I think it was. I wasn't a big fan of Bad Influence, but Games Master was massive. Then you had an offshoot of Games Master called When Games Attack. Again, it was hosted by Dominic Diamond. It was only on, was it Bravo, I think it was, so it didn't get much exposure. But sadly, these have all gone. I mean, I think the last Games Master aired in, when would it be? 96 maybe? Something like that. Yeah, I mean, it's not, there's been nothing on games for a long time in British TV. But I do know that there seems to have been a bit of a change, and there's a lot of film producers are no longer making films, but they're now making programmes for TV. There's been quite a few of these, big name producers doing that, so it seems to be a slight change in how things are happening. But I think it is only a matter of time before, I mean, YouTube at the moment, it doesn't cost anything to make a channel, and like you can see, there's some hugely successful YouTubers out there, and I think it's only a matter of time before we start seeing bigger producers, TV companies possibly starting to use YouTube. But then the problem with that is YouTube will probably want to start, they're not going to allow somebody to sit and make billions, loads and loads of money and not want a part of that. And unfortunately, I think it is only a matter of time before YouTube start charging for people to put content up. It'll be a sad day if it does happen, because I for one probably would stop making videos. Depends how much it's going to cost. It might be, if it's going to be, a small fee, that you might end up putting a wee PayPal thing if you want this channel to continue, would you like to help contribute to the cost to keep it going. But hopefully that won't happen, but I can see it going that way. But I don't think there's any TV programmes that have gone onto YouTube that I can think of, Kev. It's an interesting point, but no doubt it will change in the future. But anyway, listen, I can hear the wind blowing a hoolie outside, so I'm going to wrap it up right now. It's probably going on way too long. Again, apologies for not getting this out yesterday, but it's done and dusted. So anyway guys, as usual, please ping any comments below, any feature ideas. Thank you very much to all the people that contribute to my videos, that give me feedback. Thanks to any new subscribers, glad to have you on board. Hopefully I shall entertain you long enough to keep you watching the videos, and thanks again to all the loyal people that continue to stick with me. I do really appreciate it. That is it, guys. Last thing to say is thank you very, very much for watching.